My name's Ian MacArthur, I'm the head of the School of Physics, and even though I'm head of school I like to teach, so I have a teaching load, and the subjects I teach are sort of at the frontiers of modern physics, so I'm very lucky to be able to have subjects like that because students tend to like them.
He's always really clear when he talks, and he always accepts lots of questions during the lectures, and he explains it really well as well.
There's something really important about handwriting. Lecture slides don't cut it. And so even if the notes are handwritten versus the notes being on PowerPoint slides, it makes a massive difference, I think.
I find the notes are very sequential and in an order that is made for you to understand.
I have to agree that Ian is definitely my favourite lecturer this semester. In lectures where he'll give you the notes, but then some of the notes you actually write in class with him. And that sort of forces you to engage, it sort of forces you to keep up and sort of understand what's going along, and it slows down how he talks, because obviously he's having to talk at the same pace that he's writing, at the same pace that you're writing.
One of the features of my lectures is that I don't use a textbook, I don't stick rigidly to a given text. That's mainly because I can't find a book that does things the way I want to, and so part of the lecture process is to give the students basically a handwritten textbook, either through notes that I hand out or notes that they write themselves during the lectures. I put material on the visualiser.
Mainly just because university now is really pressed for time, it forces you to sit down and cover something as opposed to maybe just sitting and watching your lecture video and not really having it sink in. But the weekly assignments make you, apart from also watching the lecture, really go through and understand the material that you've covered.
It's impossible to fall behind basically in physics unless you don't do all the assignments, but then you'll fail, so you have to do the course again. So it's impossible. Yeah, I just find it really motivates you and really keeps you on the ball.
I believe it's if students get value out of coming to lectures, then they need to have been looked over the material in the previous lecture, and I think a short assignment a week is a way to ensure that students actually look back on the lecture. I encourage them to talk about it with their peers, but they have to submit their own written version, but they're encouraged to discuss amongst themselves how to solve problems. I've been teaching some of these courses for a while, and the marking provided feedback in restructuring the courses or rearranging the course, because I could see students were not understanding certain things. They require quite a lot of mathematics, and so one of the goals of my teaching is to help students not to be afraid of that, and the main way I try to do that is by getting them to solve lots of problems so they gain confidence. So if you want to understand modern physics, you have to really be able to do the mathematics that goes with it. That said, it's not all mathematics, and there's a lot of physical principles that have to be drawn out, so that's what I use the lectures for. Things like so-called Fermi gases, gases of reduction electrons in metals, gases of electrons in white dwarfs.
The thing Ian does, which makes it so easy to follow along with, is I think the way he explains the concepts. He explains them in a way which is just really easy to understand, and he kind of understands where we're coming from as students.
These are not easy subjects, and it's very easy for students to be bamboozled and lost, and my aim is to try and present it clearly, logically, and in a way that they can build on their knowledge and feel confident. I think it's not their intellect that matters, it's that they're engaged.
Really care about the students and where they're going and what they're learning. Are they learning the material or not? Which you don't find with everyone. He's makes himself more accessible, and he just gives off a vibe that students are more willing to go up and say, I don't understand this, as opposed to in some other classes where students are more likely to maybe ignore the fact that they haven't understood something.
I really enjoy teaching. I believe we're fantastic students, and I'm very keen to give them the best we possibly can. So my style works for the subject I teach, I believe, but I'm happy to talk to people who may be interested to discuss what I'm doing. I certainly look forward to looking at what other people are doing to see if I can incorporate some elements into my teaching.